Good day everyone, I am Galia Mandalabar. Today is Thursday, March 4 of 2021. We will talk about gender-based issue here in the Philippines. But before we go further, let us explain what is gender-based issue according to European Institute. Gender issues include all aspects and concerns related to different gender, their lives and situation in society, to the way they interact, their different and access to use and resources of their activities, and how they react changes intervention and policies. While gender-based violence refers to any type of harm that is perpetrated against a person or group of people, and it is because of their factual or perceived sex, gender, sexual orientation, and gender identity. We chose these topics because we all know how huge and broad this topic and issue is, not just to the women, men, but all of the gender here in our country. This issue is not only devastating for survivors of violence or different violence and to their families, but also significant to social and economic costs. And if this issue will go further and worsen, failure to address this issue or topic also reflect what our youth future will be and might be. And today you will see different perception and perspective to the different people when it comes to topic. Here is Ella Bilisoto for number 1 interview. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are going to tackle gender-based violence. I would first start on tackling the different kinds of violence that there is. I will mainly focus on domestic violence. Domestic violence is usually an abuse that always took part inside our homes. It is resulting on the harm of your other partner, which results on an injury or a kind of discomfort. The World Health Organization have conducted a study on 2014, and that shows that there are at least 35% of murders that is committed by women, resulting on self-defense against their intimate partner because of abuse. While on the 2013 demographics, it revealed that 1/4 of that women is ages on 15 to 49 who had been married and experienced emotional, physical, and sexual violence from their husbands. So, as I researched this, there are 2 types of domestic violence. The first one is honor killing. It is a form of violence that is a traditional practice that involves murder of women for bringing shame upon the family. It often reasons such as refusal to enter an arranged marriage, attempt to leave a marriage, adultery, and becoming a victim of rape, or usually just because they are disobeying what is normal to them. The second one is acid throwing, which is, I didn't think that this one would be included, but acid throwing is another form of domestic violence. This refers to the use of acid on one person. It is with the intention of injuring or disfiguring that person. The act itself is often motivated by personal conflicts in sexual or intimate relationship, usually in conflicts over land and property, and other religious reasons. So now we're going to interview a person. So the first question is, are you aware that domestic violence is currently rampant in every household today?
Ang for me kasi, first of all, yung familiarization natin sa word na domestic violence dahil baka yung mga tao hindi nila alam yung meaning ng domestic violence. So, kailangan may address sa kanila yung para sa akin, ang alam ko yung domestic violence is violence between dun sa intimate relationship mo or sa karelasyon mo mismo. So, ayun lang sa akin. Aware ako sa mga violence sa mga magkakarelasyon.
So the second question is, are you in favor of having a law that protects all kinds of gender against violence?
Definitely is. Kailangan natin may address yung mga ganyang bagay at maging law, maipasa yung mga ganyang law or magkaroon ng formulation na poprotekta hindi lamang sa mga babae, kundi pati sa lahat, sa maging equal yung pagrespeto at pagtingin sa gender.
So you prefer the generalized kind of law rather than specified versions between
Yes,
genders?
generalized.
Thank you. The last question is, what do you think are the possible solutions that you can contribute in addressing this problem? So you yourself.
It's myself kasi hindi ko pa siya na-experience, pero para sa akin kasi magsisimula yun dun sa communication ninyo. Kung magkarelasyon kayo at nangyayari na yung domestic violence, na intimate violence na yan, kailangan ma-establish yung connection na maging maganda para ma-prevent natin yung mga ganyang bagay. And then dapat na i-address natin yung mga internal problems natin dun sa partner natin para maiwasan natin mag-panic and then mangyari nga yun.
Oh, so you believe that if there is communication, there is a possibility that that problem could be subsided. Okay, thank you. Afternoon again. We're going to interview the second person. First question. Are you married?
Yes.
So, another one. Are you aware that domestic violence is currently rampant in every household today?
What I'm going to answer with the two points. First, academic. Second is experience. The academic is the domestic violence is very rampant in the family because of, number one is the lockdown.
Yeah.
Number two, the patriarchal system or structure in the family, which the father will going to insist his role as the father head of the family. Okay, so you need to follow. Another one is we have here in academic because of the poverty. Okay, because of poverty, the father or the father figure in the family insists that is the head of the family.
Okay. The second one. Are you in favor of having a law that is protecting all genders
Yes,
against violence?
yes,
So you much prefer the generalized version rather than the specific one?
so we have already in the law, now we have the laws, but it's only defined for a violence against women and children. But I think there is already a bill in the lower house and the upper house, which they have this kind of law is amended for the Bausi law.
Oh, so
It's amended to the Bausi law. Then, which it gives now protections not only women and the children, but it's already a protection for men, LGBT belongs to the LGBTQ community, women's, children. So I think that's holistic law. If we're going to the Congress and the lower house will going to pass, okay, and hopefully that the President of the Republic of the Philippines will not veto in that kind of law.
oh, okay, gets. So the last question for this interview is, what do you think are the possible solutions that you can contribute in addressing this problem?
Do you know just only a very what is just only one word for 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 the solution of this problem? Number one is just respect, because end of the day we are all human beings and we are living the same time as this earth. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Michelle Mapa and I'm going to interview some people about their opinion regarding the sexual violence. So what is sexual violence? Sexual violence includes engaging in non-consensual vaginal, anal, or oral penetration with another person by the use of any body parts or objects, engaging in another non-consensual acts of a sexual nature with a person, or causing someone else to engage in non-consensual acts of a sexual nature with a third person. All forms of sexual violence can appear in both the private and public spheres. They are the three particular forms of sexual violence in the public sphere, which are worth noting: sexual harassment at the workplace, sexual violence as a weapon of war and torture, and sexual violence against perceived LGBTQ+ people as a means of punishment for abandoning prescribed gender rule. My first question is, are you aware that sexual violence is currently rampant in every household today?
Yes, actually, some of it has been reported recently from the news. Due to this pandemic, most people stayed inside their homes. So most probably, that's one of the reasons why sexual violence has been recent lately.
Yes, I'm actually very aware of these types of violence. There are different types of violence, but gender-based violence, it's not something that a lot of people are very open to talk about, and it's not often seen, and it's not often reported in the news. And when it does, that's when it becomes a big issue. And I find that it's very unfair for those people that have always experienced this, be it in schools or in workplaces. It's very unfair that only the time when it is reported on the news, that's when it becomes an issue. And now that it's been an issue, it has been it has been something that has been going on even before all these issues, all these news that are going on television right now. And I think it's an opportunity for a lot of them to speak up about what they have gone through, to speak out about their experiences, and to speak out about their what they really fight for.
Yes, I'm aware. As we all know, various other factors such as poverty, lack of education, livelihood, and opportunities, impurity of crime and abuse, a culture of violence and discrimination on gender.
For me, it is a yes, because some people experience public health and human rights problems, especially during in COVID-19. Because some people experience a big problems like unemployment, no money to buy food, and especially to have a COVID-19. This is one of the reasons why people commit a sexual violence because of the uncontrollable emotion of their mind and body. My second question is, are you in favor of having a law that protects all genders against violence?
Yes, of course. Having a law that protects us inside our homes offers or provides us reassurance and also security for our own sake.
Yes, I am in favor of having law that protect all genders. As we all know, many crime now that have all genders. But for me, we need this law because all human beings have right to protect themselves.
Yes, I am in favor of that. Our laws are also they're very restricted. So it's very it's also something that should be thought of really well, because there's a lot of restrictions when it comes to the law, and we can say that uh, the law, what do you call this? The law is the law, and everybody has to follow that law. But we know for a fact that not everyone is going to be, open about it. And I just hope that when the law is passed, or when it is passed, uh, I hope they could the the whatever is inside that law would be followed in detail. There would be no what do you call this? There would be no misunderstanding or misconception in whatever they want to say in that law. So if if they pass such law, I wish it would be implemented well. I wish they would be very detailed about uh, what they are trying to protect and what they are trying to go against when they pass that law.
For me, it is also a yes, because we live in this world equally with freedom. We must protect and treat each other with respect regardless of their gender. And my last question is, what do you think are the possible solutions that you can contribute in addressing these problems?
Well, as someone who do not have any political power or the luxury for it, I would suggest creating a petition regarding this matter. A petition where the democracy can be used, or also the people's power can be used in order to make way for this petition to come true to life.
Okay, so I think as a person, I can be more kind and be more sensitive towards other people that are just expressing themselves. And I think also being able to be part of, let's say, a community that speaks up about these types of violences. Uh, it would be nice to be part of something like that, to be part and to fight with them as well. So I think that uh, that's that's one of the little things that we can do for them, and just being kind and being there for them is a little help for these people to know that they aren't alone in whatever they are going through.
Educate yourselves and others about this kind of abuse. First thing of the line is prevention, education to prevent this kind of violation. Also use your voice. on social media to bring awareness about this kind of base violation?
For me, the possible solution for this is that our government should provide a program that will help people to realize that sexual violence does not bring good in their lives. They need to love and value the lives as well as other people. They just need to be aware of the possible consequences if they continue to do it. So thank you to all my interviewees to share their thoughts about this topic. It helps me a lot and other people to know that doing a sexual violence to all gender has a bad effect to their self.
Good day, everyone. Today we will talk about psychological violence. So, psychological violence is any act which causes psychological harm to an individual no matter what gender they are. It can take the form of coercion, defamation, verbal insult, or harassment. It implied poorer mental health and slightly more musculoskeletal pain such as body aching, fatigue, and disruption of normal sleep pattern than physical violence. Psychological violence can increase psychological morbidity and most well known as depression, anxiety, suicidality, substance abuse, or post-traumatic stress disorder is common subsequent to experiencing interpersonal violence. Now, may we hear some opinions from the interviewee about psychological violence. My first question is, are you aware that this kind of violence is currently rampant in every household today?
Yes, I am aware that this kind of violence exists around the world. I may also say that I have experienced it and may have made others experience it because of it. Psychological abuse, as far as I can say, is the non-physical abuse that oftentimes leave bruises longer than physical ones. I am also aware that psychological traumas caused by these are the least recognized and treated types of violence.
Although I lack knowledge about the technicalities of this type of violence, I am aware that this happens and that depression, anxiety, and other psychological disorders that are caused by this are all serious illnesses, must be taken delicately and seriously, and if not, may be fatal.
It's good to hear that you guys are aware of this kind of problem in our society because it is important to have knowledge for us to know our rights and avoid being trampled by others. And my second question is, are you in favor of having a law that protects all against violence?
It is only natural to be against violence, if I may say, for we are all born in peace, and peace we love. Nobody in a right mind would want to be harmed or to harm others. Any kind of abuse must be punished, and governmental lawful interventions is the key aspect for making it happen.
Yes, because I know that many offenders who inflict long-term and oftentimes permanent psychological damages take it lightly like something small that we can just shrug on. Emotional abuse must be as punishable as physical abuse, for both of these may lead to weaker brain functions or at worst, death.
And lastly, what do you think are the possible solutions that you can contribute in addressing these problems?
First, I believe fixing myself into not contributing to the statistics of this violence should be the very first step each of us must take to contribute to the betterment of the society. And also, it is an essential civilian participation to the prevention, denunciation, and maybe someday a total eradication of psychological and emotional violence, that we use our talents and skills, and for me, my art, to spread awareness about these kinds of offense, the dangers of its effects, and possible ways of how to prevent it.
I will pledge to myself and to others that I would study more about psychological and emotional abuses so that I may prevent myself from doing it to others. I will also immediately report those whom I observe to commit the said offenses, and I will forward the suicide and psychological counseling hotlines to those whom I know has suffered from this violence.
Thank you, interviewee, for voicing out your opinions regarding these issues. Thank you, Bea, Charlene, Mitch, and Jessica. To sum up regarding this particular issue about gender violence, most people are aware that this kind of violence is still existing in our society nowadays, especially at this time of pandemic where people are locked inside their homes. There must be actions taken up to end this long-time problem in every household because it causes various problems and affects so many lives. Further, other kinds of gender-based violence are discussed in terms of psychological, which are the most common effects that go on the process of healing because emotions are sometimes uncontrollable and where those hurtful words can easily be forgotten. Domestic violence is inevitable where between intimate partners, one partner tries to exert power and control over the other, and the other one is sexual violence, where we can usually heard or see in the news or other social media platforms. All of these causes traumas, anxiety, depression, physical damage that could sometimes result from deaths among the victims. This is very alarming issue because the predator didn't choose who will be their victims and everyone will possibly be the victim of violence. So if ever you are experiencing this situation, don't be afraid to speak out and seek for help to stop this violence, and immediately report those who commit the said offenses. Also, know various hotlines to call upon when needed. All genders have the right to defend themselves against any kind of violence. The government should protect all genders against violence. The reason for this is to eliminate gender bias and to give equal protection for all human beings without looking at their gender and identities. And other possible solutions in addressing these problems are strictly law enforcement, information and education campaign against violence, and values formation, among others. By strict law enforcement, criminal tendencies will be curbed and eliminated. Through information and education campaign or IEC, people will be aware of this kind of violence and doing such can be prevented or detected. Lastly, by values formation, the character of a person will be changed from seemingly bad to morally good or upright act that may lead to a good attitude toward a peaceful community or environment. That's GD News. Thank you.